YouTube, so this is another one of the kits for December. This is a more advanced pattern, and you'll see why as you watch the video. I highly recommend watching this video all the way through at least once or twice before attempting to sew. This elephant is about the size of my head, but it only takes a little under 9 ounces of polyfill to get it to this fullness. So if you want to do this at home, just be aware of how much polyfill you'll potentially need. Other than that, it's a really cute project, really versatile. You could totally make this patchwork at home and use scraps, which is awesome. Have fun! As you can tell, this is why I said this is not a beginner-friendly pattern. I mean, if you could probably do it if you're a beginner, but it is going to be not the most friendly thing to do. Okay, so there's a lot of steps to this, and I'm just going to outline the pieces that you need to make sure that you have, okay? There should be one of this piece, two of this side, I believe this is the back. So two of the top of the back pieces, one of this one, two side pieces, two belly pieces, two tail pieces of a long piece, and then the tail floof should have two pieces as well. Then you should have 4 circles, or ovals actually, for the bottom of the feet. There should be 2 front legs and back legs. And if they look very similar, that's okay, because by the time you sew everything on, you're good. There should be an inner ear and an outer ear. And so the big problem that I've seen is that there's only 1 pair of ear instead of 2. But because this is ear flaps, you can use pretty much any fabric or coordinating fabric, and it's great. If you don't have fabric, I have tons of scraps that, if you need a piece of ear, just let me know. I think all the ones that I put out have both pairs. If it does not, please let me know. This is the top front of the head and the sides of the head. There should be 1 of this piece and 2 of this one, okay? So we have pair, 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 2 pair, 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 single, and a single. And that's how the elephant pieces should look. So I'm going to do this in components. There are pieces that need to be sewn independently before anything else can get started. The tail needs to have these 2 pieces sewn at the tip, and then sewn all the way around except for this part, and then turned inside out. And I tend to top stitch this after I've turned it inside out. These 2 need to be sewn together on these edges. This left open so it can be turned inside out. Do not forget to clip your edges. This belly piece right here needs to be sewn so that there is actually a hole for you to turn it right side out and stuff it. Then, the sides of this head correspond with the sides of the trunk. So the tip of the trunk should actually go down this, and then the bottom of this is sewn together, and it makes that 3D shape. So I'll go through step by step by step what I'm doing, because this will need that reinforcement. So ears. Go ahead and stitch them around the edge, turn them inside out, and then top stitch. Make sure to close this hole when you top stitch too, because it will make it easier for the ear flap to stay on the elephant. Alright, so I sewed the tail tuft to the length of the tail. Now I have it matched up and pinned. I'm going to sew around the edge and then turn it inside out. The head is going to be an interesting one. So with the bottom part of this, you want this flat piece to go on the tip of the trunk, and then just follow the rest of it all the way up. For some reason this is right here, which I don't mind too much, because it's not going to change the shape very much when I sew it. So I'm going to sew this and do the same on the other half, but make sure that it overlaps right here so there's no hole. Alright, so belly is sewn with a hole in the center. It is backstitched right here so that it stays nicely. Next step is to fold it open and put your legs on. Come on. So you're going to sew just like this, making sure that these pieces are playing nicely. And it should all point towards the center just like this when you get them sewn on. Alright, so after your tail has been turned right side out and you've top stitched it, this top piece should be the diagonal, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. And then you're going to put it in between this and sew this line with the tail in it. Now, then we're going to talk about sides. So you should have 2 pieces of this, right? You're going to put darts in it. So you're going to, here, I'll show you this. You're going to fold this in half, like this, and you're going to backstitch right here and up here, but you're going to sew all the way up and backstitch. Then you're going to do the same thing on the smaller side, and this makes it stand up better, and just do a smaller pleat right here, or dart right here. It does not need to be exact. It's your elephant is still going to be roly-poly, but it's just going to help it have a little bit more shape to it. So that's what it should look like when it's done. Just make sure it's even on both sides. The trunk. So this is at the part where you can just stitch the bottom part of the trunk and you're done. You also, however, need to put in eyes. And since these are the sides of the face, I would actually do this at this part. Or actually, I would sew it, turn it right side out, and do it. So give me one moment. Ready. So your entire motto for this entire process is clip your curves, clip your curves, clip your curves. It's going to make it lay so much nicer when you do that. So you're going to have these little circles on the bottoms of your legs. I am going to warn you ahead of time, these are not fun to machine sew on. You are probably going to have to hand stitch them. This is pinned so that the front, where the scoop is right here, is on the side where there is not a tail, pinned all the way to the back. So the back seams, the back of the elephant should have 3 seams, and then you're going to repeat that on the other side, so that when you're done, you have a roly-poly elephant. I thought I had filmed this, and apparently I had not. So you're going to take a safety pin, or a seam ripper, and make a small hole on this side of the face for the eye. Make sure your eye shines are going in the same direction. And then you're going to insert the eye through that hole and then put a washer through. I had originally filmed this, but I think Jervis accidentally turned off my camera when he was very interested in eating my safety eyes, which is totally not the point of safety eyes. If I remember correctly from the original directions, you do the belly and the legs last. I don't do that. I do the head last because then I have a lot less material to try and fight with in order to do the legs. So if you're ever wondering which of your pieces are the front legs and the back legs, just match them up to the sides, and that should be your indicator before you sew the belly to know which ones are which. So what we're going to do is this seam needs to be sewn, right? This is the front where the neck is. The side needs to be sewn, and then the back needs to be sewn, matching up seams as best as possible, okay? And you're going to repeat that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seams for the belly. Then we're going to have my least favorite part of making these elephants, which is putting the little pads at the bottom of the feet. Please hand sew this. I'm going to stress this because these are so tiny. And it's incredibly difficult to get them to look neat on the bottom of the feet if you machine do it, or at least that's been my experience. So, highly recommend just sewing that part by hand, and it should work just fine. So, I'm going to go ahead and do these 5 seams, and then by hand, I'm going to sew the little pads of the feet on the bottom of each leg. I claim to be an absolute pro. So I figured out a way to make my least favorite part a whole lot less obnoxious. So I hand stitched around, and then I was able to just run over it again with the machine to make it stronger. And look at how pretty it looks. Ah, like they used to turn, like it used to pucker, and it used to just be so awful looking when I did these before just on the machine. But just hand stitching and then going over it again, it looks so much better. Just 100 times better. So that's what I recommend, is hand stitching it and then going over it with the machine again to make it look so adorable. We're almost done. Okay, so I'm going to flip this mostly inside out again. Well, inside out, but I'm not worrying about the legs. Oh, no, I'll worry about the front legs. There we go. Okay, so now we have the head and the ears. Do not forget about your ears, because otherwise it does not look like an elephant. Am I right? I've been hoarding my pins because Jarvis is very hungry to eat them. Okay. So actually, I'm going to flip this inside out again just to place the ears. So this ear needs to go on that side, this ear needs to go on this side. I like having the outside of the ears kind of out where I can see them. And they go not quite up to where your top of your back seam is. And then just pin those in place for a moment. And then fold in half and... No! The polyfill is not for you to tip over and try to eat again. Okay. Pin in half, match, pin again. Or fold in half, match, then pin the other one in place. Okay. Now, we go inside out again. I do it like that because it works a lot better to make sure that your ear flaps are going the correct direction. Now, you've got the center seam under the elephant chin that goes to the center seam where the belly is. Oh, I know you want to eat it. I said no. Then the little like corner piece goes right where the seam of the front leg is. Pin that in place. Pin that in place. Okay. Then the top seam of the head, or the top of the head, should actually match that same seam down the back. So I pin those seams in place. And then just pin all the way around. And it should lay really nicely. Move your ear pins. Oops. Where is this pin? There it is. Okay. So move the ear pins, pin them on the outside. Almost done. And then you're going to sew this, turn it inside out, and stuff it. And then you will have a complete elephant. And you can kind of understand why I put the head on last, is because it does make it so much easier to reach around the feet and be able to sew them by hand. So you're going to sew the head on, make sure that the chin is at the bottom. Well, the seams match. If you make these seams match, this seam match, everything should kind of flow together nicely. So now sew this in a circle, do not forget to backstitch, and you're done. And then just turn it inside out and stuff. The first time I made an elephant, I was just like, it's it's so big when I stuffed it, and it just kept eating all of the stuff. Wait, is that a ranger who wants the stuff? I'm not paying enough attention to you. So this is the elephant. It is fair sized, like it's a football. You're going to ladder stitch this bottom part, and then you're totally done. And its feet actually turned out great. I'm so happy. Alright, Ranger, I'll take you for a walk. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Travis! Hello.